Hey guys, it's Joe, and in this video I'm going to show you how to use a Studio FET compressor in Logic. Now I find this is actually really quite a good compressor. It's quite similar to the Studio VCA, but it is slightly different in terms of the result. So we have the same parameters, obviously we have these same top three here, but we have the attack and release control too, but without the knee, so the same as the VCA. And when there is no knee, that means it's automatically set to a hard knee, so this works for quite similar sounds, i.e. drums, bass, guitar, but this also works nicely for vocals as well. But I'm going to show you how to use this on a couple of different sounds. Similar to the VCA, this compressor also introduces quite a lot of saturation, which is why it works so nicely with those sounds as well. Now I'm just going to demo it on this snare here. This is what it sounds like originally. So pretty straightforward. And what this compressor does really well is smashing the snares. So really going to compress this. So I'm literally going to put this all the way up to about 8 to 1. See how it goes on the threshold. We're probably going to aim for between 6 and 10 decibels of reduction, but we'll adjust it as we go. So we'll start around here. So the attack and release settings for this compressor are pretty universal for what you want to apply it to. So whether we're using it on a snare or bass or the whole drum kit, we want a very fast attack. So anywhere between literally like 0 and 10 milliseconds, and then a long release. So I'm going to set this to about 300. We're going to start the attack on 0, and we're just going to start to increase that slowly. Cool, so obviously when I increase the ratio here, we've increased the reduction, so we're just going to increase that a bit again, the threshold, we'll higher that. I think about 2.5 milliseconds works quite nicely for the attack on this. We're still getting that initial peak through, but taming it very quickly. And then we're holding on to that release. We're making that quite long so that we're emphasizing the transients afterwards. We can also introduce a bit of distortion as well. And now we have a really squashed down snare. This is going to work well for making it really cut through the mix. I definitely recommend layering this with another snare as well, one that's slightly less compressed probably. Okay, now I'm going to demonstrate it on a bit of bass, and this is what the bass sounds like on its own. We want to make this just a bit thicker and a bit more powerful, and we're going to use the FET to do that. So we're just going to increase our ratio. I always like to start on about 4 to 1 for bass. Going to have that quick attack again, literally going to start on 0. Probably a slightly shorter release on this, just so we can get a bit more rhythm going in it. And we'll see how we go. Don't want that much reduction. Probably aim for 4 to 5 on this. Cool, so just increase the attack a little bit there. Again, I want to keep it lively, and if we keep the attack really quick and the release really long, it's going to take out a lot of that rhythm. It was okay doing it on the snare because that was just very sparse really, whereas this has lots going on. Just introduce a bit of distortion as well. Cool, so the low end's coming through a bit more on that now as well, taming it really nicely but still keeping that energy in there. I think the Studio FET is actually a really solid compressor. I think it can be quite overlooked at times. Like most of the time I'll go for the Studio VCA for things that I actually want to use this for, but this actually does a really nice job. I think it worked great on that snare and this bass as well, in fact. So I think it's just about comparing it between these two depending on what sound you're after. I hope you found this video useful, and if you have any questions, please leave a comment or contact me via my website. Thanks a lot for watching. Cheers.